everything, but we'll do our best to try to answer some questions. So if you've got some questions, pop them into the comments so we can try to help out. So I'm going to go to the first question that we have listed here, Carls. So we've got a few questions already prepared from what you've sent us through the inboxing. I'm doing everything right, inverted commas, Monday to Thursday. Why do I keep blowing it at the weekends? Why do I keep blowing it at the weekends? What are your thoughts there?
Well, straight away when I hear I'm doing everything right, sounds like maybe Monday to Thursday you're being super strict on yourself, and then that's why you'd have a tendency to blow out on the weekend. It's like maybe you're knocking off work, it's time to let your hair out, whatever. I would say ask yourself, what are you doing during the week that's making you fall off? Are you restricting yourself? Are you, I don't know, is it that you're unorganized and you are pre-planning your week, a 4-day week rather than a 7-day week? There could be numerous things going on here. Are you stressed? Are you, like, what is it as well? What are you doing at the weekend that you feel as though is, I guess, sabotaging yourself?
Yeah. So I have a take on this, right? I think that, do you ever get to the point, Carls, where you're kind of like, you stay up on the weekends just to feel like you've got a life?
Yes, I do it during the week sometimes. I'm like, quiet time, right?
Yeah, exactly. So quiet time when the kids are in bed and you're kind of like, oh my God, I deserve to just have 10 minutes to myself. And then it turns into 2 hours watching Netflix, right? Maybe crushing a few glasses of wine. I think that what happens for a lot of people is that happens at the weekend, right? We work all week. We're humans. We've got family. We've got stresses. And then we get to the end of the weekend and we're kind of like, fuck, I've just survived this week. What can I do to actually make myself feel like I'm having a life at the weekend? I think that's part of it personally. So we're kind of ultra strict through the week, and then we get to the weekend and we feel like we need to live a little bit. So I personally think just being aware of that might help you to go, well, do I really need to live a little bit? Am I actually sabotaging my own progress? Like, I almost feel like just because I'm in a hotel here, I need to drink some Japanese whiskey because it's free. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then I consciously think to myself, oh, I'm doing this thing that I don't necessarily want to do, but I'm doing it because I'm not really thinking about it. So I just think, like, being a little bit aware of why. Carly sort of chopped on this. Like, why are you actually binging on the weekend? Is it because you're trying to, like, put some fun into your life? Is it you're trying to, like, you're so fucking stressed and bored through the week that you get to the weekend and you're like, I need to live a little? If that's the case, then the root cause isn't the weekend itself. It's living a little through the week. It's like doing some de-stressing activities through the week. It's maybe not trying to be so perfect through the week. I personally believe that the answer is solving the week rather than solving the weekend. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Interested to hear what you guys think. If anyone's actually solved that whole weekend conundrum, please let us know in the comments. And if you've got any questions, guys, we are here to ask and answer any questions that we possibly can. Next question up. How do I build muscle at 45 without bulking and gaining more fat? So can you talk to the idea of this around ladies first? Why would ladies want to build muscle at 45? First question.
Okay, so probably starting to get into that post-menopausal phase of life. It's really important for us ladies to be building muscle, and not only just at that stage, but even prior, because when we are obviously losing muscle mass, because as we get older, we naturally are going to lose muscle. We need to do everything in our power to preserve what we have and build some. And so people go, yeah, but what's the importance of actually a woman having, I don't care, I just want to be skinny. Well, the importance of having muscle on your body is so that you can actually, it's going to be the best weight loss management strategy you can have.
Over the long term.
Yeah, over the long term. So that's the very start.
So let me speak for the boys as well, right? Our testosterone level is kind of like it's peaking at like 20 to 25. and then it's starting to slowly drop. And what most of the research has shown is that it's getting worse in new generations now. And I think you can almost like see that on social media just quietly. But at the same account, it's starting to slow down. So if we don't actually get protective and build some muscle while we're a little bit younger, every year that you're closer to sort of 60, 70 and beyond, it just gets harder and you're accelerating what's going to be a problem. This is why we're all in on resistance training. So the question was, how do I build muscle at 45? It's not that it's any different than when you're 20. It's just a little bit harder oftentimes because the hormonal profile is worse. So it is harder a lot of the time. Having said that, when you're 20 and 25, you don't really know what you're doing. For example, for myself, I was like training twice a day and body part splits and just doing a lot of shit that doesn't actually need to be done. And my recovery was terrible. So I'm 44 this year, and I am building muscle as well now at 44 than I was at 20. Even though my testosterone is not as good, my understanding is better around what I need to do and what I don't need to do. I think the answer to this for most busy people over the age of 40 is going to be, we need to train about 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday sounds like a really, really good split. We need to do full body sessions. And most importantly, we need to focus on getting stronger in the gym or at home. How do you know you're getting stronger, Carls? How can you determine whether you're getting stronger or not?
Yeah, well, definitely in your workouts, girls and guys, you should be recording your weights each and every single week so that you can gradually increase those. But I think what's most important here too is, especially you guys that are in a reverse and up, this is really important that you are just as strict with your reverse as you are with your calorie deficit. The whole entire point while you guys are reversing is to build muscle and to get stronger. So you need to make sure that you are eating more calories and you are obviously eating enough protein to be able to provide for that muscle growth. That's what's really important.
Yeah, and don't just when you do a reverse, if you just do a reverse and you just look at the diet component, that's like a quarter of it. The real gains you get out of doing the reverse is accelerating the intensity of your resistance training. So I'm going to say that again, guys. If you got the first stage of fat loss off and you're going through one of those diet breaks or a little lean gains phase, now what you should be doing is focusing on getting strong. That's really the only metric. Focus on getting strong, focus on seeing how your energy levels are, your libido is, slowly increase the calories up. That's how you're going to build muscle. And then what will happen is you'll build some muscle, right? And then you can do a nice little cut after that where we deficit down again and any surface level body fat that you've got will be revealed. This is where you've seen Carly and Erin particularly, but then some of the girls and guys in our group getting crazy results because they've been willing to trust that process and focus on strength through that phase. Guys, questions. I'm going to answer Peter's question. Is it okay to get max reps before moving up weight on the dumbbells? Okay, so Pete, good question. And when you say max reps, well, max reps is relative to the weight that you're lifting. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that we're talking about a goblet squat, right? And let's say the maximum weight that you've got is a 10 kilo dumbbell, Peter. And let's say that you could actually do 10 repetitions of a 30 kilo dumbbell. Well, max reps at 10 kilos is going to be like 100 repetitions. So is it a good use of your time to do 100 repetitions at 10 kilos before moving the weight up? No, that's not a good use of your time. You would be better to get a set of adjustable dumbbells so that you can put the weight up and not have to do so many reps. Does that answer your question, Pete? Can you please just let me know in the comments if that actually answers your question, mate? Hey guys, how are you? To everyone that's joined the live a little bit later, Maverick asked the question. I'm at 12% body fat. lean, but the most of the fat that I have left is belly fat only. So a bit confused as to whether to go into a deficit to reduce it or progress for muscles gaining. What are your thoughts here, Cuz?
12% body fat. Wow. That is like, that's extremely low, isn't it, for a male?
Yeah, it's lean. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, it could be, I guess the question would be, is it actually fat, or is it, because I had this same conversation with someone today. Is it actually fat, or is it genetics, or is it your normal profile? You know, some of us just, we don't look the same. Some of us carry, whether it's weight, whatever it is, muscle in different areas, and however big we are, but it comes down to, I guess, I don't know how to explain this.
Well, I would go as far as saying, okay, well, 12% is lean, right? I'd be probably 12% now. It's like decently lean. So where are your calories at? That's the better way to think about it. So Mav, if you're at 12% body fat and 1,500 calories, you haven't really got anywhere to go. And you have to understand that in a bloke, particularly a man, belly fat will typically be the last place it will leave, right? So what are you going to do from 1,500 calories? You're kind of going to go to 1,200 calories, and sure, you'll lose it, but then what will happen is you'll put it all back on again the moment you start eating again. So I would personally think that it would depend on where your calories are, and I would probably think going and try to go through a lean gain, a lean muscle building phase, try to build your calories back up again while not putting on too much body fat, and then going through a second stage of fat reduction would be the way that I would go. Beck says, I'm struggling to move from 12.5 kilo dumbbell shoulder press to 15. It's a huge jump. Any pointers on how I can get there? Yeah, Beck, that's a really great question. And the reason, if you think about it, right, if you take 12.5, right, and you add on another 2.5 to 15 kilos, it doesn't sound like that much, is it? 2.5 divided by 12.5 times 100, it's 20%. So it doesn't sound like much, Beck, but to lift 2.5 kilos in one go, that's 20%. So when I put it as a percentage, increasing your weight 20% on a small movement. No, we're not talking about squats where it's a big compound exercise. We're talking about a shoulder press where it's a pretty isolated exercise. Moving 20% is actually a big jump. So first question would be, number one, how many repetitions can you get out 12.5 of? I would see if you can push a few more repetitions out before increasing the weight, if that's the case. The second thing would be, do you have the option to do a smaller jump? Some gyms, Carls, I don't know about you, but the gyms that I mostly train at operate in 1.25 plate graduates. Right?
Yeah, ours is 2.5, and it's a massive jump. And that's exactly what I would have said too, is just try and increase your reps. I have even gone on to the the assisted shoulder press to help a little bit.
Yeah.
It's hard when it jumps that much.
Yeah, it is. So I do think that that's probably your best go, Pete. Who was that? I missed it. Beck. So Beck, if you want to just like push up a few more repetitions, because if you're getting out more repetitions at the same weight, you are getting stronger. And so I would focus on that personally. I think that's probably the best way to move forward. All right, guys.
The question. Are you able to display the questions or not? Sorry, I'm trying to think of what you asked me, and then
don't think so. I can try. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Next question. Ickathord says, I'm 14 weeks post rotator cuff surgery, a long, small weights progress. Yeah, it is, man. Shoulder surgery just sucks, really. Michael Spears says, can I work out right after a meal, or should I wait an hour or more? Carls?
You can, absolutely. You should just train to how you're probably going to feel quite sluggish, possibly. But if you feel like you prefer to train on a full stomach, then you absolutely can. If you prefer to train fasted, then train fasted. Train how you feel.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't overthink that, man. Beck says 12 reps of 12.5 kilos. So yeah, what I would try to do then is push to kind of like 15, 16, 17 reps of 12.5 kilos. If there's only a 2.5 kilo plate, Beck, before you add on to go to 15. That's the way I would probably play it. Okay, guys, anything you want to ask into the comments, you can ask and I will answer them live with you here. Do I need to cut carbs, honestly, to lose the belly fat, or is that outdated advice, Carls?
No, you do not need to cut carbs. All you need to do is make sure that you're in a slight calorie deficit. That's all that you need to. And like the thing with cutting carbs is, yeah, you may weigh lighter on the scales because obviously you're not going to be carrying as much water, but that's not fat. That's water weight. So you can cut carbs if you solely focus on the scale weight, but if you're after losing fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit.
I think probably it would help for everyone to just remind that when we say cut carbs, you have to likely cut your carbs down. You do not need to cut your carbs out. Okay, so there's a difference. When we're talking about cutting carbs, what we're talking about here is, think of the three macros. The three macros that contribute to your calories are protein, fats, and carbs. You need high protein for muscle building, keeping you full. You need fat to some level for your hormones. It's really important. So carbs are probably the most dispensable, but you don't need to cut them out. You probably need to cut them down. And when you think about what's the junk food in most people's diets, it's unprocessed, shitty carbs. It's not cutting out potatoes and fruit. It's cutting out meat pies and fucking popcorn. It's the shit in the diet. It's not. So when we're talking about cutting carbs, you don't need to cut out carbs. You probably need to cut down on your processed carbs. Michelle says, is it okay to fast for months and months? I can't imagine sticking to my calories if I don't fast. Mish, yeah, I did it for months and months and months because for me, it's a calorie adherence tool. The biggest thing that you need to focus on, Michelle, when you're fasting is you need to have big serves of protein with your meals that you're eating after the certain time that you start eating. So basically the reason you're fasting is because you feel like it helps you to stick to your calories, right? There's nothing else magical about it. Now, if you do think it helps you to stick to your calories, that's one strategy and it's not a problem at all. Think about from an evolutionary perspective. Do you think humans were able to walk to a fridge and get Uber Eats 24/7? No. So fasting is actually very, very normal. What isn't good is if you're fasting and constantly not hitting your protein target. What a lot of people will do, Michelle, is fast, and then as soon as their fast ends, they binge and eat more calories anyway, which defeats the entire purpose of starving yourself. So fasting is only useful if it helps you to stick to your calorie target. The downside to it is that you will have to eat more protein with every meal to hit your protein target. Does that answer your question, Michelle? Can you please let us know? Boys and girls, questions in the comments. If you want to ask anything, we are live on multiple platforms. We can answer anything that you got here. Des says, going on the back of Beck's question, am I progressively overloading when I go up in weight for the last set in a workout? Carls, am I progressively overloading if I only increase for the last set of a workout?
Well, you're still progressing. You're still overloading, Des. Absolutely you are. And that's a great way of doing it, is just one set, particularly when we're trying to build strength and get stronger at one exercise, is you can absolutely increase the weight in one set. And then over the next workout, try and maybe increase it to 2 sets. Mm-hmm. And this is, again, goes back to why you should be recording your sets and weights inside your apps, girls. So yeah, it is still progressive overload. And then you can, then the next time you want to go up onto a weight, you've been able to push it for 3 sets or whatever, however you want to do it. And then you're good with the next weight.
So Des, I'm going to introduce an idea to you all. So if you're catching this and you're listening up, right, I just want to run through something in your head with you. So think about it this way. What Des is saying is that she's doing, let's just say she's doing 3 sets, right, of squats. What she's saying is she's doing 1 set of 50 kilogram squats. She's doing another set of 50 kilogram squats. And then she's doing 55 kilogram squats. So on the last set, she's increasing the weight. Okay. That's what she's saying. Is that okay? Yes, it is. But I just want you to think about it this way, Des. If you're doing 2 sets and then you're able to increase the weight, what does that kind of say about the first 2 sets? It kind of says that you weren't pushing the first 2 sets as hard as you could. Okay? So hang on, before you say legend, thank you. It's fine, but my advice would be, Des, warm up properly and front load your heaviest sets at the start. Okay? If you're doing lots of volume before you get to your heavier set, it's the heavy set that's providing most of the stimulus, but you're doing it when you're tired. So what you'd be better to do is swap it the other way around. And probably the reason, so this is called reverse pyramids. Probably the reason you're doing it the way you're doing it is because part of you's thinking, I need to warm up properly. I don't want to injure myself, which is good thinking. Okay. You would be better instead to actually make sure you're warmed up properly. Let's just say those numbers were accurate, 50 kilogram squat. I would like to see you do a squat with the bar. Okay. I'd like to see you do a squat with the bar, which is 20 kilos or maybe 15 kilos if you're in a girls type gym. Squat with the bar, squat with a couple of 10 kilo plates. So it's like 35 kilograms either side, right? Maybe 8 repetitions. Then get after it. What you're doing in set 3, do it set 1. And then see if you can match it in set 2, knowing that you probably won't be able to. And then drop the weight set 3 and do more repetitions. This is called reverse pyramid. And I think this is a much smarter way to approach it. Do you need clarification on that, Des? Carly, yep.
I was just going to say, if Beck's still listening, Beck, if you've got the goal to hit a 15 kilo shoulder press as well, what I did was I actually didn't worry about my shoulder press 4 exercises in. If that was my goal, I actually made that my first exercise before you become too fatigued.
The more you push heavier weights to the back of the set, you're going to become more fatigued and get less out of it. So Beck says, I find if I do the heavier set first and go to failure, then I have to drop my weight significantly in the next set. That's correct, Beck. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. That's your top set, right? That's going to help you to develop strength and muscle. And that's the way that I would be proceeding. And Madeline says, how about the other way around? Push higher weights first. Yes, that's exactly what we're saying, Mads. Front load it. As long as you're nice and warmed up, right? You wouldn't go like straight from walking in the gym and then just stacking the weights on 3 plates either side and thinking that's going to be safe. You've got to make sure that you're warmed up properly first. But the first thing that's not a warm-up set, you're considering this my first working set. Let's get after it, right? Particularly if you're an elite. Pascal says, sometimes when you see on some workout routines, I see an RPE percentage. Sometimes that depends on how hard I push those exercises. Otherwise, I always progressively overload the weight. Yeah. So RPE and percentage intensity, kind of 2 slightly different things. But RPE basically means reps in reserve, right? So it means how many reps. So if you were thinking of it that way, Pascal, if it was an RPE of like high end, like reps in reserve 1, right? Then that means that you want to front load your set really hard. Beck says, I've been doing shoulder press after chest press. Yeah, so it depends on, what you're trying to bring on first, Bex. So what you could do is, a lot of women physically would prefer a more developed set of shoulders than their chest. And if that's the case for you, it's not an issue if you want to flip them round, right? It's not an issue if you want to flip them round and preface your shoulders first. Because if you're right, if you're doing a lot of chest press and then doing shoulder press and you really want to bring on your shoulders, chest press will do shoulders, right? It's a good compound exercise to do shoulders, but I think that's a good way to do it. Yeah, if you want to preface, I think a lot of women would probably be fine to put shoulders in front of their chest. Michelle says, I've just received my DEXA scan. My body fat percentage is 54.7. I'm not proud of this. What am I aiming for? Michelle, the answer is less than you are. I think that this is a classic example of where you have this like target number, right? So as an example, men goal waist circumference is under 94 centimeters, right? When you measure your waist circumference at your belly without sucking in, you want to be under 94 centimeters. That's where the evidence suggests the risk comes down. Now, Chris Cocking might grab a tape and go, fuck, I'm 110 centimeters, I'm going to die. No, that's not the right way to think about it. The way to think about it is that every movement closer to that range is a good movement and exponentially decreases your risk. So if we were to talk about like women body fat versus men body fat, for the most part, like women are always going to be higher because they have bodies that are meant to be able to have more fat on board to be able to bear children, right? But if you're sort of under 30%, that's amazing. But if you're under 50% instead of 54%, that's a huge gain. So let's just, rather than kind of overwhelm yourself for something that's going to take a good long while to get there, Shell, this is your start point. This is the line in the sand. Let's go. Let's go the right direction. Kath says, just wondering, Carly, what size weights to start with? It's a great question. What size weights to start with?
Yep. So I can't give you that exact number. Obviously, everyone's strength is different. But what I would suggest that you do, Kath, is if you're thinking about, I don't know, if you're at home or in a gym or whatever, pick up a set of dumbbells that feels okay, feels safe enough to lift. And what you want to do is perform that exercise with good form. That's the most important thing. You have to be able to complete the exercise with good form or you're going to injure yourself. The next thing you want to do is go into your app and have a look at your rep range. Okay, so just say you've got, again, maybe you've got a bicep curl of 12 reps and you pick up a 4 kilo dumbbell and you can quite easily get, say, 15, 16 reps with that 4 kilo dumbbell. Remember, you need to stick to your rep range. So that would tell you that it is too light and you could increase your weight. So then what you would do is go and increase your weight. You might go for a 5 kilo, 6 kilo dumbbell. And if you picked up, say, the 6 kilo dumbbell, for example, and then you came in at 8 reps, when your reps are meant to be around that 12 rep range, it's probably too heavy. So you would go for that 7 kilo and try and push. If that makes sense, hopefully that's clear. So let your rep range determine. Yeah.
So when you first go in, here's the key thing, Kath, you don't know. You don't know what you're going to lift for the first time. So you just kind of have to pick something up that you know you can pick up and just try to look in the app at the form, the video that shows you how to do it, and then just see how many repetitions you can get out. And then we go to the program, and as Carly said, we see what the rep range is in the program, and we try to stick to the rep ranges in the program. And if you're doing 20 repetitions because it's too light and the program says 10, then increase the weight. Okay? Really, really good answer. Okay, so Pam Alan Chang says, does creatine actually work, Carly? I've started it and it's made me put on weight.
See? Mm-hmm. Because creatine, it's doing its job. So if you're getting on the scale and you're weighing that little bit heavier, what creatine is doing is drawing water into your muscles. That's its purpose. It's not that you're putting on fat. sorry, I missed your name. It's not that you're putting on fat, but you may weigh heavier on the scale.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you will, Pam, you will. That's the point. That's not a side effect. That's not a, oops, what just happened?
Yeah.
It's like, it's meant to put weight on you. The reason is because it's feeling, if I have a cup, if I take this cup, this cup is the cell, this cup is the muscle, okay? We want our muscles to be plump. If I put water in this muscle, guess what? It's going to weigh more. That's exactly what's happening with creatine. Creatine is drawing the fluid into the muscle to plump it out so it can do better work. That's what you want. Yes, it does work, and it's meant to put on weight. Okay, so had a question here by Tam. And guys, if you want to ask questions, we'll just stay here until you stop asking questions, and then we'll get out of here. So we're here to help. Ask yourself, like, what am I struggling with? What do I want to know? Do I know what I'm meant to be doing this week? Going into this week, have I got a plan? Ask a question. There's no bad questions. All right, so speaking of a DEXA scan, is this a good idea? Tam, it is a great idea. I think it's a good idea, yes. It's going to cost you $50 to $100 to do it. Okay, here's what you're going to get. You're going to get a full body assessment of your body that will tell you a body fat percentage, how much muscle mass you have. It'll give you a bone density scan, most of them, which is a good starting point. Here's the thing about DEXAs, however. They are as good as you can possibly get without it becoming like super lab level stuff, okay? DEXAs are considered pretty much the gold standard of public body composition. So when people say my body fat percentage is this, they're generally jumping on a set of scales at the gym, like some bioimpedance scales. They're just not very accurate. A DEXA scan is going to be more accurate than that, but just like those scales, it's going to be a little bit variable based on variables in your body. So for example, have you got food in your belly? Are you highly hydrated or are you dehydrated? So what you've got to try to do, Tam, is if you have a DEXA, my suggestion would be kind of have a start one and then 1 6 months apart, right? And I think for someone that's where you are in your transformation, you're not expecting massive weight loss now because you've already lost the easy fat, so to speak. What we're wanting to see with you is changes in your composition. So what that means is that you having a start of the year, February style, and then a June or July DEXA, this is a good way to gauge some progress. One of the girls, I don't remember who it was, but she popped her DEXA records and was kind of like, I didn't really think that I was doing that well until I saw what was actually happening, and I'm doing really well. Changes in my body composition, even though my weight's the same, okay? They're not perfectly reliable, but it's as good as we have. I recently had one and I like it. I really like it. Mad says, splitting the workout into 2 sessions in the same day, is this effective as doing it as one, Carls? So splitting up one workout into 2 shorter workouts.
Absolutely, you can do that, Mads. However you can manage to get your workout in is amazing. Do whatever works for you. If you need to split it in half, if you have to do one exercise there, another exercise 20 minutes later, it's however you can complete that workout.
Yeah, I think the big thing is people worry about the fact that, because I was going shorter, I didn't sweat enough, I didn't, burn enough calories. They say things like that. That's just not a thing, right? You're not in the gym to burn calories. You're in the gym to create muscle mass, to get stronger. And actually, when you think about it this way, Mads, it's actually, I think it's actually better, because why? After about half an hour, 40 minutes, I don't know about you, but my interest in the gym starts to tank. I start to get I don't know if bored's the right word, but I'm just not as excited as when I started. So with that in mind, if you break it up, guess what happens? Right? You're resetting. So if it's easier to fit in your day as two 20-minute, 2 half-an-hour sessions, I actually think that's better, personally.
It's like
I'm going to do it.
It's almost like an extended rest period, right? And you might find either that you might be able to lift heavier doing it that way.
That's the point, is that because you're having that break in between, you're coming back and you're recharged, you can lift heavier, then that's a win-win, 100%. Marty says there's some bloody great questions coming out tonight. Yeah, there sure is, Marty. Brad, how are you, brother? Hey, Jace, can I have a breakfast and then skip the lunch? Yep, 100%. You know, Brad, here's the thing, man. Like we kind of want to, society puts on us that like breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You're not meant to eat steak for breakfast because that's a dinner food. Like where does that come from, really? Like fasting, all fasting is, whether you skip breakfast, whether you skip lunch, whether you skip dinner, you're just not eating, right? So absolutely, you can skip any meal if it helps you to adhere to whatever target of calories that you're trying to achieve. If it leads to you just starving, like I can imagine all the, my focus is so much on the men, right? And I can imagine all the men out there that are like, I'm fasting, bro. I'm fasting. Oh, I'm fasting. Oh, I made it all the way through my fast. Thank fuck. Now I'm just going to eat triple. And that's completely pointless. All you're doing is just eating your calories in a shorter window. That does nothing. So if you are in a fat loss phase, Brad, and part of your plan, I need to eat less calories because you understand that calories are the important thing. And as part of that, you think to yourself, you know what I'm going to do? Rather than like try to eat less at breakfast and lunch, breakfast and dinner, I'm going to meal skip lunch to save myself more calories for breakfast and dinner. That makes sense on two caveats. One, you've still got to get your protein target, number one. Number two is that if it leads to you just binging back at dinner and eating double the amount, then you've not achieved anything. Does that make sense? Hopefully that answers the question, guys. And
well, for most of us, right, we're all just busy working parents just trying to get healthier. And it's like, should I work out in the morning or night? Whenever you get the job done. Should I snack? Should I not snack? Well, whatever's going to get you to hit your protein target and get you eating within, like it's, yeah, we do. We have a tendency to overcomplicate shit.
Yep. And by the way, like that's, if you're a client, right, if you're one of our clients, you have to understand that when you're just swiping things on Instagram and Facebook, this is part of the problem. And we're part of the problem. Myself and Carly are part of the problem. It's like short sound clips and short reels and short things where you're just trying to grab some attention so that when we get you into the program, we can actually educate you and teach you. And what you understand is it's actually far simpler than you think. It's actually more about what you don't do than you have to do. People say, oh, I've got no time to do all this shit. That's great because you don't need much. As an example.
But we think we need all of this time because people tell us that we need to be working out 7 days a week. We need to have 2 hours out of our day. Like,
yeah, you got it. All right. So Ika Forward says the more muscle you have, the better your metabolism works, which burns more calories. That's a general, it's a general statement and it's very right. Liz, how's it going, buddy? First time in Q&A, I think. Is it better to do more reps with lower weights or little less reps with more weight? Carls.
Depends. What's your goal, Liz? So if you're going to be, obviously, like we want to be around that 8 to 12 rep range to be obviously building muscle, but that's not to say that you're not going to build muscle the other way. But that kind of comes more into when you start to do those high reps, right? That becomes almost like a bit of endurance training, I guess. So it just depends on what your goal is. But for the average mum and dad just wanting to build muscle, 8 to 12 reps, 8 to 15 reps, depending on what you are programmed, that's what you want to be doing.
So Liz, total agreement with Carl's. You generally I think that for a lot of people, the goal should be not to lose fat. Losing fat will happen as a side effect of getting strong. So if, Liz, you focus on getting strong, what will happen is you'll build some muscle and you will burn some fat. This is a good thing. Your body will change. Now, how do you get strong? Well, you don't get strong by lifting constantly the blue dumbbells over there in the corner that are 3 kilos and just doing 20 repetitions of that. That's exercising. That's not training. That's burning some calories. It's not training. It's not going to change your body, particularly if you're over 40. It's just not going to change your body. You have to be stressing the muscle. And stressing the muscle is going to depend on the context of the person. If you've never lifted weights before, Liz, then the amount of stress that you're going to need is very, very different to what Carly's going to need. Okay? So the answer is both can help you to build muscle, high reps and lower reps. They can both help you to build muscle. What matters is really getting close to failure. So you're not just doing 10 reps because, you're doing 10 reps because of a chosen weight. That's all you can do. You can't do another repetition, whether it's at 10 reps or it's at 20 reps. And the challenge for a lot of people is that they kind of like get to the rep target in their program and they go, cool. And then they look the same for 10 years. Like, here's the way you think about building muscle and changing your body composition. Your body composition changes when it's forced to, through adaptation. And the great example that I can always think about is how many of us has a dad, it's kind of fading out now because our dads aren't necessarily of the blue collar era a lot of the time now. But how many of our dads are kind of like skinny, smaller framed guys and they got fucking massive baseball cap hands, like huge hands. Why? Because all day they're using trowels and hammers and doing hard shit that I don't know what to do. Look at my piss poor hands, right? They're computer hands. It's the same with muscles. Hands have muscles. Your dad grew big hands because he was using his hands all the time. So his hands were forced to grow. You will grow a nice ass, nice quads, nice chest muscles, nice shoulders, nice back, all the muscles you will grow if you use those muscles to a point where they need to grow. If they don't grow, they're not stimulated, they're not going to grow, right? That's the premise. So you can't just exercise your way to a better body. You got to train your way to a better body. Hopefully that answers your question, buddy. 45 and I can't get rid of my bingo wings. Drives me mad. Yeah, well, for the most part, Pam, that's a body fat issue that we would like to get onto. Sounds like my dad. Exactly, Pete. Yep, mine the same. So, Melissa Harrison, how are you, buddy? I was struggling with the steps on days in the office. Today I parked further away, took the stairs a few times between floors and went for a quick walk at school pickup rather than clicking my emails.
Yes, Mel, that's the best, because a lot of us think, oh, now I've got to hit 10,000 steps, so I've got to go walk the beachfront for 2 hours. It's all these little things, those little decisions that you've made, taking the steps over the lifts, parking further away. That's what counts. Amazing. Good job, Mel.
Isn't it funny if we put it into that, like, I just got to accumulate this over the course of a day? And where people, I think, do get it wrong is they just, soon as they wake up, they go straight to work or straight to the kids, which we may have to in a lot of cases, right? We might not have an option. But if we can get up maybe 30 minutes earlier and go for a walk, and we can do 3,000 to 4,000 to 5,000 steps before work. And same was true for me this morning. Like, I put a post up on the group because I woke up, I've got so much to do on my plate at the moment. And I sat down and I'm like, fuck, I know how this day is going to go. It'll be midday and I've done 200 steps, literally. So I'm like, walk up and down the hall while writing back to some posts on Facebook in our group, getting involved, seeing who's doing well, see who's posting. I might as well just do that while I'm walking up and down the hall in a boring, dark walkway. But if I've got the option to either sit or stand, like, just every time you're sitting, see if you can stand. You accumulate steps like you won't believe. All right, guys, we're going to be coming to the end of this Q&A very shortly if we're running out of questions. Hey, Chels, what's going on? So Chels says, very, very new to this. Good stuff. Congratulations on getting started, Chels. I'm 52 and my belly is my pain. I am currently trying to get rid of it. I'm walking at least an hour a day, 5 to 6 days a week. I'm counting calories, not always hitting my target in calories. Drinking at least 1,500 to 2,500 mils of water. Is this going to be enough or is this all wrong? Talk to the mindset here, Carls, I think is the most important thing.
Okay, so first, I'm not sure if that was a male or
Chelsea,
female.
it's a girl.
Oh,
yeah.
Chelsea. It was Chelsea, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay. So, with your yes,
I'm
please.
52. My belly's my pain. I'm currently trying to get rid of it. Like everyone, Chelsea, I'm walking at least. So what is she doing? I'm walking at least an hour a day, 5 to 6 days a week, counting calories, not always hitting my targets in calories, drinking at least 1,500 to 2,500 mils of water. Is this enough?
Yep. So you sound like you're doing all the right things, Chels. First things, you said you're tracking your calories. Are you tracking your calories and not letting the little sneakies in? Because if you can say I'm tracking my calories and I'm sticking to it, like if you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight. But a lot of the time, and even I make the mistake, is sometimes we don't allow for the extra milk in our coffees or the sauces or things that, kind of fly under the radar. So are you actually in a calorie deficit? Are you consistent with your calorie deficit? So I'm not talking about just 1 or 2 weeks. You need to be consistent with these things over a long period of time. Now, 6 days, did you say you were walking? Chelsea, what I would suggest you do is the walking is absolutely fantastic. But if you've got 1 hour in the day, each day to walk, what I would suggest you do is you pull back on the walking, even if it's just for half an hour, and replace the other half an hour with some body weight exercises that you can do at home. Because what you want to be doing, again, Chelsea, is obviously building that lean muscle. When you have more lean muscle, that's what's going to increase your metabolism. Therefore, you're going to be burning more calories when you are just, sitting there on the lounge, Chelsea. That's the whole point of being able to get your metabolism firing, rather than just focusing on doing cardio and stepping, trying to step your way to getting the fat off. If you do those things along with if you love walking, keep walking, but don't let it replace your resistance training.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of go a different direction on this, and I think that's everything that you've said there is cool. I'm gonna go a different direction in this, Chelsea, and I don't know the deep backstory, but what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna guess just the tonality that this has been kind of written. I'm gonna guess that you're really frustrated, right? You're really frustrated. And it's kind of it's a head game. 52, probably peri, if not menopausal. Belly feels like it's kind of a bit out of control. Just fucking annoyed, and probably done like many, many years of dieting in the past, followed by feeling like you failed. And then off the back of that failure, usually fallen off the horse for a year or so, got back on the horse, been really, really strict. This time you're like, I'm signing up for Better Body Academy. I want to know that I'm doing the right thing. I want to know that I'm on course and everything's perfect. Does that resonate, Chelsea? Just let me know in the comments if that resonates. Because if you feel like that, that's how most people feel when they start. And it's the reason why the most important mindset that you need to adopt is that you don't need to be perfect here. Okay, you do not need to be perfect to get results. Okay, what happens is you try to jump higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. And am I doing enough? And am I doing enough? And fuck, I can't do this. And then life hits and bang, I'm off. Right? So I'm on and off and on and off. Either that, or it's just this really long, prolonged period of just like dieting and dieting and dieting. And she's saying it sure does. Great, Chelsea, you're in the right place, right? You're in a place in the women's group of women who know exactly how you feel, okay? I just want you to know that. You're not in a place of fitness influencers here that are like, have no idea how you feel. You are in a place, and Jody says, I love listening because we understand it, Jodes. Like, Chelsea, think about it this way, right? I was saying to the boys on a call the other day, on the backside, you see you and you go, why am I such a fucking, why can't I get this right? What's going on? You're one of one, right? You're seeing your own results and you're trying to go, why isn't this like, I've seen this thousands of times. When I say thousands, I'm talking thousands and thousands and thousands of times. So my data set, my sample size is like, the reason I can talk to this, Chelsea, is because I've seen it so many times before. That's it. And what I can tell you is that the thing that's going to kill you, girl, is this need to be perfect. Am I doing enough? I need to do more. I need to jump higher. It's not working. I didn't lose weight this week. We're not in a rush. If you're 52 and you're carrying a lot of weight, it's because of a lifestyle that hasn't worked with you for a very long period of time. That's not a criticism. That's most people. And so when you come into Better Body Academy, the mindset that you have to adopt is not, did I lose weight this week? It's like a little part of me dies every time one of the girls puts up, I didn't lose weight this week. You're not meant to. You're not meant to lose weight every single week in a straight line. You're literally fighting against changing your habits that you've had in for decades. The mindset that we have to have here, Chelsea, is one of like a lifestyle transformation, right? So rather than worrying at all about how much you're doing, I want to ask you some better questions, right? Are you eating mostly good whole foods? What's your energy level feeling like? Do you like going for a walk? Is it good for your mental health? Christina Cunningham said, I walk every day, but it's for my mental health. Fantastic. I want you to focus on the fact that you're doing this rather than I'm not doing enough. And then we can always add more later, man. That's the whole point of a transformation program. We can add more, we can tweak more, but we're not in a rush. The moment you're in a rush, you try to do too much, it gets overwhelming, life hits, you fall off, and then you're back to where you started. Let's avoid that.
And we put end date, right? We put this end date that I need to be here by X date. And then you don't get to that date and you feel like failure. Clearly, this is Chelsea then that's just obviously just joined us in the academy. Chelsea, my advice to you is jump on coaching calls and talk up, because when you turn up to coaching calls, all of a sudden you are going to realize that you are not the only one that struggles with these things, of these cycles of, you know, these diets and all of this stuff. This is the stuff we talk about, Chelsea. So jump on.
Chris says, magnificent discussion. I don't know if you saw it earlier today, Carls, but we saw Chris's progress photos over the course of, a 6-week period, man. It's coming in. Dude, you're
Which Chris?
Chris Cocking, man. His photos, it was in the client wins chat. His photos are unreal. His side profile, dude, you're looking so good. And you look like you're about 10 years younger as well, Chris. So Curtis asks, what if you in a calorie deficit, but eat more fat than you should, like 6 avocados? Well, who's determining that you should would be my question. At the end of the day, Curtis, if you're in a calorie deficit and you are eating more fat than you should, you're probably following maybe like a keto diet. If you are keeping your calories in check, 6, let's have a look. 6 avocados calories.
320 maybe around?
6 medium avocados is approximately 15 to 1900 calories. So Chriso, frankly, you need to get in our program, bro. That's what it comes down to. If you are eating 6 avocados and you think you're in a calorie deficit, you're either eating 6 avocados and nothing else, or you have kind of a misunderstanding around how much calories are in fat foods, even healthy foods.
The biggest concern concern there, right, is if you're eating that many avocados and that is taking out the majority of your calories for the day, where's the protein?
There's no protein there at all. Yeah, so you're basically eating 1,800 calories and no protein. And that is like, it's a recipe for failure. You probably have very good cholesterol figures. Michelle says, this is great tonight. Well, this is why we wanted to do it. I kind of like the idea of jumping on quickly. Well, not quickly. Well, we've got a couple of us that can do it. Guys, do you have any other questions you want to ask? Coaching calls are so important if you can jump on them. Yeah, that's it, Chels. Christina, thank you for saying that. They are. Because like, this is where you understand that you're not, there's nothing wrong with you. Everyone's dealing with the same shit. What coaching calls actually do, you know how I said I've got this massive sample size? Coaching calls expose you to the sample size and the trends, and you can go, oh, right. I thought I had to cut out all the carbs. So did everyone. I don't. Right? A person asks a question and you go, oh, I was thinking that same thing. I didn't get it, but now it makes sense. Ika Ford says, what's your opinion on apps that are supposed to count calories, your plate of food? I think he means like taking the camera, the camera and taking a photo of food. What are your thoughts on that?
I think they're pretty inaccurate. Only because you don't know, like, how does that camera know? Like, okay, let's just say you have got a serving of mashed potato. Well, what have you put in the mashed potato? You could have cream, butter, all of that kind of stuff. I wouldn't be. And I also think it's a mindset thing around tracking your calories. Tracking your calories isn't just about tracking your calories. It's about starting to create a little bit of awareness around what your portion sizes look like, what your eating patterns look like. It's trying to find out what high protein, high fiber foods are. Like, it's not just about, and I get it, I've got to track my calories. This is how you learn about nutrition.
Yeah.
So if you're kind of taking photos of it, yeah, it's not, to me personally, it's not
Yeah,
great.
I wouldn't personally use them. It's probably better than nothing, but I think like it's just kind of shortcutting the process. Maybe AI will get better, but yeah. Chels, where do I get onto the coaching calls? So Chels, once we finish this live, if you go to the top of our group, and all this, Chels, will be covered on your kickoff call. Okay, so just so you know, right, we're going to go through this all, so don't get overwhelmed. But if you go to the top of the group, you're going to see a banner, and in that banner, you will see the times. So you just find your closest city, so you know the time zone, you go along there. And yeah, you'll be able to jump into one of the coaching calls this week. So that's going to be fun. Look at the banner. Mad says you got it. Great advice. So James, thanks for the fun and entertaining videos to make it real. I've been eating more protein and I am full. That is one of the reasons why we get the protein up, Jimmy. 100%, mate. And that's those combination accounts? James, Kathy, Stenya. I always worry about dudes that share Facebook accounts with their wives. I'm like, oh, that's wild. You guys got any more questions that you would like to ask before we pull this one to a head? If you want to ask any questions, we can answer them. Hit us. Going once, going twice. And by the way, guys, I'll let you know as well, we are, I'm working on a very good guest to come into the podcast as soon as possible and talk about poo. I love talking about poo. We're going to hopefully get that guest on as soon as possible and talk about poo so we can normalize poo discussions, and that's going to be fun. Christina says the videos are what got Carly to join. Love the ones. They crack her up.
Thank you.
So nice. All right, guys, we're going to love you and leave you there. Hopefully that was helpful. Prue says, hey, guys, first time listening on live. Thanks for the reminder of the topics you've mentioned earlier. It's a great hearing questions and clear explanations. Yep. And we'll do these as often as we can. I like to remind myself it's taken me 20 to 30 years to gain the weight. I know for sure it's not going to be fast. Not saying I don't get annoyed. Well, it's fine to get annoyed. I reckon it's totally fine to be annoyed. It's like, be pissed off. That's fine. But if being pissed off then causes you to take action, Prue, happy days. That's so good. But if getting pissed off causes you to quit, That's not good, right? We're going to have the emotion, enjoy the emotion, and make sure that leverages you into actually doing something about it, which is a good thing. All right, guys, we're going to love you and leave you. Hopefully this was helpful. We will speak to you over the course of the week. Love yous. And guys, just please remember this is in place of tomorrow morning's Q&A. We might do another Q&A on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, maybe this week as well, so we can keep getting you guys in momentum. All right. Peace out, team. Thanks for coming.